Sound okay? Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrunvannuti Sadanam Shri Mahaganadipataye Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Dear friends, we are on this 26th shloka of 3rd chapter, that is Na Buddhi Bhedam Janayed Ajnanam Karma Sanginam Joshayet Sarva Karmani Vidwan Yuktas Samacharan. So Krishna was saying about how in the earlier shloka he told about how a jnani does his karma. So just as an ignorant man does a karma with all enthusiasm, a jnani also should do with equal amount of enthusiasm, but as a sakshi, but keep him by staying in his own self, in his knowledge of self. Kuryad vidvans tatha asaktaha chikirshur lokasangraham. So in the interest of the welfare, in the interest of the world, in the interest of welfare of humanity, so he has to perform karma. So that is what was told in the earlier shloka, that is 25th shloka. Then 26th shloka I just read and explained. That is, it is again talking about the same jnani. A jnani is not supposed to cause confusion in the minds of other people. That is the meaning of that shloka. A jnani, he knows that he has climbed the ladder and he is at a higher level. And then he should not tell others who are on that ladder, no, this ladder is not good, this ladder is not ultimate, there is a higher thing. So let the people climb and then come on to that stage. So that is the meaning of that shloka. So I read and explained the broad meaning of the shloka. Let us read the bhashyam. Buddhir bhedaha buddhi bhedaha maya idam kartavyam bhoktavyam cha asya karmanah phalam iti nishchita rupayaha buddhehe भेदनम चालनम बुद्धि भेदः तम न जनयेत न उत्पादयेत अज्ञानाम अविवेकिनाम कर्म संगीनाम कर्मणि आसक्तानाम आसंगवताम. We'll stop here. Buddhir Bhedaha, he is explaining. Buddhi Bheda, I explained to you what is Bheda. Bheda means division. We have heard of Samadana Bheda. Bheda is division, dividing or breaking. Buddhi Bheda, Mitra Bheda is breaking the friendship. Like that, Buddhi Bheda is that causing some sort of disorientation, say causing some sort of confusion, putting him in a dilemma. So that is all what is Buddhi Bhedam. A person he is doing a particular type of ritual in a very sincere manner. He is, of course, he is doing a kamya karma. He is actually desiring the fruit of that karma, and then he is trying to get some punya, whatever it is. So he is doing some karma. A jnani should not go and then say disturb him. He should not go and cause confusion in his mind, saying that it is all at a lower level. This is all, it is not the ultimate truth. So he is not supposed to tell that to him. And then that man, he will neither get this Brahmagyana, nor will he pursue the path of discipline. After all, this karma has to be followed for what? Karma has to be followed because it gives you Chitta Suddhi. So this gentleman who gives up karma and then who is not fit enough to come into this Jnana Marga, he is the loser in both ways. So that Chitta Shuddhi also is not there, and he is yet not eligible for Jnana Prapti. So he will be left in the lurch, fall between the two stools, as they say. So that will be his position. So we should not leave him in that position. So buddhehe bhedaha, buddhi bhedaha. So what is the predicament or what is the mood of that particular man? Maya idam kartavyam. So I have to do this. Maya idam kartavyam means this is my duty and I have to do this. Bhoktavyam cha asya karmanah phalam. So I have to enjoy the fruit of this phalam, this karma. I have to enjoy. Bhoktavyam means I have to enjoy. Asya karmanah phalam. That is the fruit of this particular action I have to enjoy. Then, iti nishchita rupayah buddhehe bhedanam. So he is very confirmed in that view. He very firmly believes that he is doing a particular thing and then he is going to get a particular result. And in the process, because the karmas are so designed that, okay, it is something like a lollipop. The karma is something like a ritual, is like a lollipop which is promising you something. But incidentally, it is also making you to do certain good things. It is making you to do some dhanam. So in this particular karma, you have to give some dhanam, you have to feed, say, about 10 people. You have to give some vastra dhanam, you have to do some hiranya dhanam, you have to do some godhanam, what not. So all these things, they lead him to a particular chitta shuddhi at some point of time. So he will start thinking about the purpose behind all this ritual. And then after some time, he will slowly he will get qualified for the next step. So like that, he is having a very confirmed view that he has to enjoy that fruit of that karma. Then, nishchita rupayah buddhehe bhedanam chalanam. Chalanam means shaking. Chalanam is moving. Chalanam is making others move. That is shaking or disorienting or distracting. So that is it. Chalanam buddhi bhedaha. That is what is called buddhi bhedaha. Tam na janayet. Na buddhi bhedam janayet. Na janayet means you should not produce that buddhi bhedam. Jananam is production only. Jananam is birth. Janayet. Na janayet means you should not produce that type of confusion in his mind. Na janayet, na utpadayet. Ajnanam avivekinam. Ajnaha means an ignorant man. Na plus jnaha, ajnaha. Ajnanam is shashti bahuvachanam. Ajnanam means of those who are ignorant, of the ignorant people. Then karma sanginam. What else are they? They are all karma sanginaha. Karma sangi means one who is having that lingering association with karma. That is what is called karma sangha. The attachment with karma is karma sangaha. Karma sangi means one who is having an attachment is called karma sangi. Karma sanginam, karmani asaktanam. Those who are attached to this type of karma, asangavatam. So for those who are having a very strong attachment with the fruit of that karma. Then next line, kintu kuryat joshayet karayet sarva karmani vidwan swayam tadeva avidusham karma yuktaha abhiyuktaha samacharan. Kintu means, then on the other hand, what is he supposed to do? Kuryat vidvans tatha asaktaha. So what is this? No, this is that is the earlier line. Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani. Kintu, what should he do? Kuryat, he has to do joshayet. Joshayet I explained. Joshayet means giving a pat on the back. Though we know that he is doing something which is at a lower stage, we may feel that he deserves a kick on the back and not exactly a pat, but still you give him a pat on the back and say, okay, you are doing a nice thing, you do this, you will get some chitta shuddhi. Joshayet, karayet. Karayet means make the other man do. Karoti is, kuryat is he himself does. Karayet is he makes others do. So he allows them to do. Sarva karmani, all those actions. Sarva karmani means not the nishiddha karmas, not the prohibited actions, but only these approved actions. Actions which have been sanctified by the say Vedas. So sarva karmani, vidwan swayam tadeva avidusham karma. And he himself, he also follows some rituals, not a kamya karma. He will be doing in a totally, as a sort of sakshi he will be doing. For this, in order to set a sort of example before others. Why does a jnani do karma? A jnani does karma like Krishna, Lord Krishna. Why is he doing karma? If he does not do karma, all others will follow him. So he has to set an example before others. So he has to go to a Gurukula, he has to go study Veda, then he has to do some other thing. He has to follow some Nitya and Naimittika karmas. There are certain essential things which they are supposed to do. So all those things he is doing only to set an example before others. So this gentleman, this Vidwan, Saktaha, Yuktaha, that is Abhiyuktaha. Yuktaha is one who is settled in that Atma Swarupa, one who is having that stable understanding, a clear understanding of this Atma Swarupa, he is not shaken from that Atma Swarupa. So knowing fully well that he is that Nitya Shuddha Chaitanya, and then from that point of view as a Sakshi, he performs certain actions. So he knows that what all karma he is doing is only apparently a karma but not exactly a karma. It is called karma abhasa. What a jnani does is called karma abhasa. So Vidwan Yuktaha Abhiyuktaha Samacharanam. So here the commentary ends. But then we have to slightly understand this shloka even in the present context. Present context, we know that nobody, not a single person is doing these yajnas and whatnot. So the other day I was supposed to give a small, do a small book review in the Central University here. That book is on Mimamsa Shastra. Much of it was on Mimamsa. So before doing that review, I just made an inquiry with my guru, Pullal Ramachandrudu, and also with some other people who are really very, very orthodox people, as to how many people in Andhra Pradesh, in the whole state of Andhra Pradesh, are really doing this, this yajna. Every day, this Panchamaha yajna, he is supposed to be an Ahitagni. Ahitagni means he is supposed to keep 3 different types of fires, 24 hours, 24 into 7, into 365, whatever it is. So he has, not into 365, 24 into 7, that is how we say. So he has to keep these 3 fires in the house continuously, and then he has to do that Agni Chayanam, he has to get those darbhas and whatnot, and say he has to do in a very, very perfect manner. So I was just inquiring as to how many people are there in Hyderabad. In the whole city of Hyderabad, there may be 2 or 3 people, and in the whole state of Andhra Pradesh, maybe somebody in Guntur and somebody in somewhere in East Godavari. So all together there may be about 15 to 20. That is what they calculated and told, not beyond that. So we are talking about a ritual which is hardly followed by anybody. So we have to take stock of the contemporary situation also, and then see what this shloka says and what amount of social change has taken place, and then in the context of social change, what the present day teachers are also doing. So we know that Vedanta should not be told to a person who has not gone through this drill. I was telling her that definition yesterday. Adhikari tu vidhivat adhita veda vedangatvena nitanta nirmala swantaha sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha pramata. A long definition is there. In between I forgot some lines also. But then these are the qualifications for a person who is a student for Brahmagyana. But then not a single person is doing it in the society today. Then what does it mean? Are all of us totally disqualified? So theoretically we all get disqualified. So maybe realizing that the present day Swamis, of course, they are teaching this Vedanta to each and everybody. Maybe that is correct also. Maybe that is correct because the people's understanding ability has increased. In fact, if we see the history of civilization or history of mankind, the history is divided into so many periods. Maybe it is called something called age of faith. Then another age called Middle Ages. If I am talking about the Western history, then again they call it some age of Renaissance, then some age of reason, then age of enlightenment. So like that, they gradually they divide that period according to the condition of people, and then the type of ethos prevailing in that particular situation. They characterized a particular period. So we are talking about a shloka which was told by Lord Krishna to Arjuna in Dwapara Yuga, and then of course we need not blame Arjuna and Krishna for that. Till recently all these things were followed. Till about 50 years ago all these things were followed, and many people were there. Several scholars were there. Even I have seen in my own life, I have seen about 20 years ago, many scholars who were very well versed, and then who were all these Ahitagnis, and then who were doing all these rituals. And in fact the reason was, even about 15 years ago, there were so many Shastra Pathashalas all over the state. There were so many Shastra Pathashalas. Very eminent scholars emerged from those Pathashalas. great Vedanti scholars, great Vyakarana scholars, great Nyaya Shastra scholars, all those people emerged from those, say, Shastra Pathashalas. But of course, now all those Kalashalas are defunct. They have been affected by the modern system of education. So, Shastra is existing for namesake. So, that is the tragedy. So, then coming to this shloka, then at that time when Krishna told, it was highly relevant because there was a tussle between the Mimamsakas on one hand, the Mimamsakas who were hardcore ritualists, and then there was the other extreme. I told about this Buddhist who said all this is nonsense, this is all Kshanika Vijnanam and whatnot, nothing is there. Then Shankaracharya's duty or the Advaitin's duty or Lord Krishna's duty, not only Shankaracharya's duty, by the time of Krishna, let us say, it was the duty to say that there is what is called Sat. It is not all nihilism. So if you say the entire thing is nihilism, you are leaving it to the winds. You are leaving it to the free will of each and every person. It cannot be done. So there should be some little bit of order. And in that order again, there is say Upanishad provides so much of freedom to think, freedom to say do upasana. It is not, Upanishad is not exactly a religion in the very strict sense of the word. Religion means, okay, I say this is God, you have to follow this. That is what is called religion. Say, but the Upanishad goes beyond that. So Upanishad says, it asks you to think, it asks you to say, it tells you, you think, this is the equipment you have the body, you have the mind, you have all these sense organs and whatnot. So you think, with the help of all these things, you think and then you decide what you are. So that is how Upanishad allows. And then if you want to do some upasana, if you want to visualize that cosmic intelligence or cosmic being in particular form, okay, you do that. So that is why we are having so many avatars and so many God figures and whatnot. So that is what we have been discussing. So at the time of Lord Krishna, when he told, because of this tussle, Krishna had to clarify that, okay, there is a gradual process. If somebody is in this, say, particular path of ritual, don't confuse him. But then now that we know that we are not doing anything, not even Sandhya Vandan, even if you take Sandhya Vandan, I doubt whether at least 2% of the people in the whole society are doing it. We do not know. Not even 2%, maybe 1% of the people may be doing it in the whole society, if you take. Because Sandhya Vandan is something which is prescribed for all people in the society and not only for Brahmins. So in the whole society, maybe 1% of the people may be doing Sandhya Vandan, which is a compulsory karma. So when that is the stage, what the present day Swamijis are doing, because as I was telling, if we see, we can now call it the age of reason. In India at least, we can call it the age of reason, if not the age of enlightenment. So everybody wants to, he can understand, he is capable of understanding. They are having so much of exposure to science, they can think logically. So they can discriminate between what is a superstition and what is not a superstition. And we find people on TV propagating superstitions. So if you tell some Purana, something like Kartika Purana or some other Purana in such a way that you are promoting superstitions, that is the best way to cause disillusionment among young men. So a person who listens to that Puranam, he will get more disillusion. He will run away from religion. So that is what, unfortunately, that is a negative impact of some of our say Pravachana people on the TVs. So okay, that apart, so if we see this generation, naturally they are capable of receiving, they are capable of understanding. So I feel that whatever we call this Brahmagyana, whatever is there in the Upanishads, we can convey to the modern generation so that they themselves will understand. They will understand, and then whatever are compulsory rituals, there is nothing ritualistic about it. Once they understand that there is something more than that, they will also do this ritual, because this ritual is a self-disciplining process. Kamya karma is not a self-disciplining process, but this Nitya karma is something which is a self-disciplining process. So by telling this Vedanta, maybe he will do, a person who was not doing Sandhya Vandan earlier, he may do Sandhya Vandan. So that is probably what our Swamijis are right now doing. So I feel that we have to understand it in this manner. So because I have just noted down one or two more points. So by telling that, it will lead to a proper a rational appreciation of religion and its place, a more enlightened and rational appreciation of religion or ritual. So that is what it is likely to give if we properly explain this to the present generation. So next shloka. Before that there is an avatarika. Avidwan agnaha katham karmasu sajjate ityaha. Avidwan agnaha. Agnya, I said agnya is an ignorant person. Avidwan and agnya both are one and the same. Katham karmasu sajjate. How does he get engaged in action? How does he perform action? So the previous 2-3 shlokas they talked about, the previous 2 shlokas, that is 25 and 26, they talked about a jnani. So this 27th shloka is again coming down to an ajnani. How does an ajnani get engaged in karma? So that is the meaning, that is the context here. Karmasu sajjate ityaha prakrutehe iti. Let us read this shloka. Prakruteh kriyamanani गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते. So the question that is posed in this say shloka and answered is as to who is the karta or who is the doer in the body. So you and I, we are human beings, we have a body. And then when you say who is the doer, suppose you are going to some place, you are doing a particular action. So you have absolutely no doubt as to who is the doer. You say, yes, I am the doer. we have absolutely no doubt. When we say, yes, okay, I am the doer, I am doing this, I have done that, I have say done a particular action. So that is what we think. But then this shloka is questioning about that. When you say that I am the doer, who is that I? So that is what is the question. That is what is the question. So we know that philosophy, the Sankhya, the yoga in the 2nd chapter, Sankhya yoga described what exactly is a human being. It told about what a jiva is. It said, you are the Nitya, that Shuddha Chaitanyam. You are not this body. You are the Shuddha Chaitanyam. That is what the Sankhya yoga has said. And then what is all this? All this is an appearance in Maya. That's what they also said. It is all Maya, which is otherwise called Prakriti. So when this word Prakriti is used here, this Prakriti should not be confused with the Prakriti, the term Prakriti used by Sankhyas. There is one system of philosophy called Sankhya philosophy. They use 2 terms, that is Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha is the sentient being, the intelligent being. That is all humans come under that. Purusha does not refer to one particular god only. Purusha Bahutvam they say. Purusha Bahutvam is including you and I. We are all human. We are all sentient things. Prakriti is the insentient thing. Insentient means Jada. Jada. So this Jada Prakriti is there, say, which is appearing as this Panchabhutas and whatnot, all these things, gunas which are all there. But in the Vedanta, we are not referring to the Jada Prakriti. Sankhyas, they are dualists. Prakriti is separate and then Purusha is separate. That is sentient and insentient are 2 separate entities regarding in the Sankhya point of view. But then we say that there is only one thing, that is one Shuddha Chaitanyam only, and that Shuddha Chaitanyam only is manifesting as Maya, and in that Maya, these 3 gunas, this Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, these gunas are manifesting. And between these 2 gunas, because of the say disequilibrium in these gunas, this appearance of this Akasha, Vayu, Agni and all these things, and then the whole in the process, the whole universe. So all this thing is appearing in that Maya. And ultimately whether it exists or not, we do not say. We cannot conclude. So that is why it is said Maya is something we cannot say whether it exists or not. Brahman, there is no doubt regarding Brahman. We say, yes, Brahman is Sat. That is the only thing which is Sat, which is real. But then about Maya, we do not know. Because what the Vedantins say is, Sat Chetana Badhyeta, Asat Chetana Nivarteta. If it were to be really true, it would not get negated by after one acquires Brahma Jnana. If it were to be totally false, it would not be appearing before us. So we just cannot say whether it is real or unreal. Sad asadbhyam anirvachaniyam, they say. That is, you cannot say whether it is sat or whether it is asat. So that is the concept of Maya or Prakriti, which Vedantins propose. So when we talk about this Prakrute Kriyamanani Gunaihi, we should not say go into that Sankhya context. We have to only understand from the Vedanta point of view. So it is Prakriti means it is that Maya Shakti, which is a Shakti or a manifestation which is there in that Chaitanyam. So the consciousness appearing as material, consciousness appearing as material is what we have to see in Vedanta. So Prakrutehe Kriyamanani Gunaih Karmani Sarvashaha, the Anvaya is Prakrutehe Gunaihi. Prakrutehe Gunaihi Kriyaman. That Gunaihi has to connect with Prakrutehe. Prakrutehe means of the Prakriti. It is Shashti Ekavachanam. Prakrutehe Gunaihi. That is, Gunaihi means by the Gunas. Trutiya Bahuvachanam. Prakrutehe Gunaihi Kriyamanani Karmani. That is, all these karmas, all this activity in the universe which we see, the whole activity is because of the interplay of these three gunas. These three sattva, rajas and tamas, these three gunas are there. These three gunas, sattva guna, rajoguna, I have explained in earlier classes what they produce. And in fact, there is in fourth chapter again, it is going to tell about sattva guna, this what the gunas are going to say. And then there is a whole chapter, the 14th chapter, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, that is 14th chapter. The whole chapter, it tells about this interaction or interplay of these three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamo gunas. These three, you can say guna means you can say a tendency, you can say not exactly a property. It is these three characteristics which are there in these three modes. Some people have translated it as mode. So these three modes which are there in the Prakriti, and then these three are causing all this activity in the whole universe. What all activity we do, I want to sit quietly and then I want to strictly contemplate and meditate. It is because of the result of a particular guna. Otherwise, I am always brisk and I am always restless. I want to achieve something. I want to get more and more, or rather, maybe I want more money and whatnot. So that is again one type of guna. That is Rajo guna, which is active in me. Sometimes Sattva and Rajo guna also may be having an interplay. I may try to be doing all the so-called good deeds. I may want to build some temples. I want to do some other good deed. I want to donate something to somebody. So all these things, this is again the manifestation of a Sattva guna. Then Tamo guna, somebody may be just dull, slothful and whatnot, and sometimes he may be violent also. Sometimes he may, yes, what I say is right, and then I want to dictate, I want to do this. So Sattva guna, that Tamo guna is there. So what all activity we see in the universe, not only of the human beings but of the animals and of the insentient things also. According to our Siddhanta, even this, Ayurveda, it talks about the three gunas in various things in the, in the world. There are so many plants, there are so many other, minerals which we see in the world. So all those things, they are also the product of these three gunas. So you suppose you take a particular medicine that produces a particular guna in you. So like that, Ayurveda does a very great study of these gunas in all the materials. Vastu Gunapatham, that is what it is called. Vastu Gunapatha is one book on Ayurveda. So like that, in all vastus, there is this mixture of these three gunas is manifesting. So Prakrute Kriyamanani Gunaihi Karmani Sarvashaha. All activity, Sarvashaha means all types of activity. Prakrutehe Gunaihi Kriyamanani. So all these things are being caused by Kriyamanani means they are being caused. They are being created. Kriya means that is doing, performed by these three gunas only. But then Ahankara Vimudhatma Karta Ahamiti Manyate. But then somebody who is in that feeling of I, Ahankara Vimudhatma. When you say I, what is that I? You have no knowledge that you are that Nitya Chaitanya, and then you are dissociating yourself from that Chaitanya, and then you are defining yourself as a very finite being, forgetting that you are that infinite. Forgetting that you are infinite, You are confining yourself, you are secluding yourself, putting yourself in a room and then saying that yes, I am this is my identity. So that is what is ahankara. Ahankara does not mean arrogance. In normal parlance, when we say ahankara, so we refer to arrogance or basically arrogance, or that say pride, or not even pride, arrogance is a better word. So we usually refer to arrogance, but here ahankara in Vedanta does not mean arrogance. It means the I feeling. I feeling means he is basically disconnecting himself from the truth that he is a Shuddha Chaitanya, and then he is identifying himself with the body-mind complex, that is BMI, or sometimes they say, not BMI, body-mind complex, I do not know. All these modern, sometimes these writers, they say body-mind complex. Okay, I identify myself with the body-mind complex. So that is what is ahankara. So ahankara vimudhatma means one who is totally deluded by that particular feeling. Ahankarena vimudhaha atma yasya saha. So that is, by this feeling of I, he is so deluded. So he is that ahankara vimudhatma. Then what does he think? Karta aham iti manyate. Manyate means he thinks. He presumes that he is the karta. Karta aham. I am the karta. I am the doer. So that is what he thinks. So the words here are also simple. Prakrutehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha. Ahankara vimudhatma means ahankarena vimudhatma. Ahankarena means by ahankara, by that sense of I feeling, he is deluded. So that person, karta aham iti manyate. Karta aham iti manyate. So let us see this bhashyam. Prakrutehe prakrutihi pradhanam sattva rajas tamasam gunanam samyavastha tasyaha prakrutehe gunaihi vikaraihi karyakarana rupaihi kriyamanani karmani laukikani shastriyani cha sarvashaha sarvaprakaraihi ahankara vimudhatma karyakarana sanghate atma pratyayah ahankaraha tena vividham nanavidham mudhaha atma antahkaranam yasya soyam karyakarana dharma karyakaranaabhimani avidyaya karmani atmani manyamanaha tat karmanam aham karta iti manyate. So in one long sentence, Shankaracharya has finished the commentary of this thing. Where is this? Prakrutehe. Prakrutihi pradhanam. Pradhanam again, he says, pradhanam is sattva rajas tamasam gunanam samyavastha. To this extent, Vedanta also agrees. Vedanta agrees with the Sankhyas on this particular point, that there is what is called a Prakriti. And in this Prakriti, these three tendencies are there, which are called the three gunas. These three gunas they produce different types of tendencies in what all we see. Not only in sentient things, but in insentient things all around. In all things we see these three gunas in the whole universe. So sattva rajas tamasam gunanam samyavastha. Samyavastha is when they are in an equilibrium state. They are in a state of equilibrium. That is called, there is no creation. When there is this equilibrium is slightly disturbed, then this Prakriti, from that this akasha dvayuhu, in that process these things emerge, and from that, as a product of those the five elements, the human body has evolved. So I have told about the Taittiriya shloka, I think, several times. Then samyavastha tasyaha prakrutehe gunaihi, of that prakriti. Tasyaha prakrute means of that prakriti, gunaihi, by these three gunas, vikaraihi. Vikara means some modification. Prakriti is actually getting modified. It is not Brahman who is getting modified as this world, it is the Prakriti which is getting modified as the world. So Vikaraihi, Karya Karana Rupaihi. Karya Karana, these two words frequently appear in Vedanta. Karya Karana. Karyam means, we know what is a karyam and what is a cause. Cause and effect we know. Effect is what is called karyam. Cause is something different. Karyam is this human body is the karyam. And then this karana. Karana means the tools. What are the tools which we have? The five senses and also the mind. Mind also is a tool. Mind is again, it is the boss of all these tools. So Karya Karana Sanghata means Karya is the whole body-mind complex. This Karana it means this mind and also the senses. When you separate them, they are called Karanas. So it is called Karya Karana Rupaihi. Kriyamanani Karmani. That is the activities which are being done by all these things. The activities which are being done by this Karya Karana Sanghata, which again is a product of these three gunas. These three gunas are again product of the, not three gunas, the Karya Karanas are the product of the three gunas. So whatever these activities are there, they are the activities of the three gunas only. They are attributable to those three gunas only. So that is the meaning here. Kriyamanani karmani. What are those karmas? Laukikani shastriyani cha. Laukika karmas means normal day-to-day transactions. Shastriyani. Shastriya karma is something which is prescribed in a shastra. You may be doing some yajna, you may be doing something else, some other say ritual which is prescribed in some text. So they are the shastriya karmas. So whether it is a laukika karma or whether it is a shastriya karma, whether it is a normal karma at a social level, or whether you are doing a karma which is prescribed in the Veda. Shastriyani cha sarvashaha sarva prakarahi, in all matters. Ahankara vimudhatma. What is this ahankara vimudhatma? Karya Karana Sanghate Atma Pratyayaha Ahankaraha. So Karya Karana Sanghate Atma Pratyayaha Ahankaraha. So he is defining. Ahankara means the feeling of I in this Karya Karana Sanghata. The feeling of I in the body-mind complex. So that is called Ahankara. So he is defining Karya Karana Sanghate. Sanghata means Samuha. Sanghata means the complex, body-mind complex. Say. In that complex, Atma Pratyayaha. That is the feeling, that the belief or the conviction that is Atma. The conviction or the understanding that is the Atma. So his level of understanding is at that level. His understanding is at that level. Atma Pratyaya means, so that he thinks that is the Atma. So that is somebody who is thinking that his own body-mind complex is the Atma. So that is called Ahankara. Tena vividham nanavidham modhaha atma antahkaranam yasya. By that Atma Pratyaya, by that feeling that the body-mind complex is I, with that Ahankara, the man is deluded, the person is deluded. So antahkaranam yasya, saha ayam means that particular person, Karya Karana Dharma. So he is basically doing all those activities which are, say, relating to this body and mind complex. Karya Karana Abhimani. So he thinks that he is doing all these things. They are all those things. They all belong to me. What all is done, it is done by me. Abhimani, Avidyaya, and by ignorance. Avidyaya means by ignorance. Karmani Atmani Manyamanaha. So he thinks, Atmani Manyamanaha means, so all these things are being done by me. He thinks that all these things are happening in me. Atmani means in me. That real self is something different. Real self is that Shuddha Chaitanya only. But then he is attributing all these actions to Atma. Atmani Manyamanaha. Tat karmanam aham karta iti manyate. All those karmas, in all those karmas, he feels that he is the karta. Is it clear? Here, so this Prakriti, this point I told. So anyway, so this is the point here. So this person is basically, one note is there. This Nilakantha Vyakya, he is saying a couple of points here. Atmanascha asanga ananda samvidrupatam apashyan atma ahankarena vimudhascha asau atma cheti vigraha. So he is failing to recognize Atmanascha asanga ananda samvidrupam rupatam. So that is what Nilakantha Vyakya says. That is this person who is affected by that ahankara. So this person is actually, he is not realizing that his nature, his original nature is that of bliss. And then that which is asanga, that is not connected with anything. And then that chidrupata, that is bliss and also intelligence. Chit is intelligence only. He is of the nature of pure consciousness or intelligence and also pure nature and pure bliss. So he is not able to recognize this. So that is what he says. Then Madhusudana Vyakya again. Madhusudana Vyakya also almost the same words. Anatman Yatma Bhimani. So he says. I think we can go to the next shloka. Yah punaha vidwan tattvavid iti. So yah punaha vidwan. So when you come to the case of vidwan, so again in between the shloka, the text came back to a mudha, a ajnani. Again it is going back to say a jnani. What does a jnani? How does a jnani react? Tattva yah punaha vidwan. Vidwan means a jnani. Tattvavid iti. Let us read this shloka. Tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartante. Of course, we have to read it as vartanta because it is vartanta iti is a sandhi. Guna guneshu vartanta iti matvana sajjate. So tattvavittu mahabaho. Mahabaho is the address. He is addressing Arjuna, O Mahabaho. On the other hand, tattvavit plus tu becomes tattvavittu. Tu is on the other hand, tattvavit. That is a person who knows that tattvam. Tattvam is the knowledge of self. So earlier person, he was an ahankara vimudhatma. He was thinking that the body-mind complex was his self. But then this tattvavit, he does not think that the body-mind complex is his self. So we know that, say we have heard about these 5 koshas, pancha koshas. What is this pancha kosha? Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha and all those things. What is that? Pranamaya kosha means this physical body. The 5 levels of understanding, I said, 5 sheaths or 5 levels of understanding. The first sheath or kosha is this body, the physical body, sthola sharira, what we call it. Then the much slightly more subtle than that is the energy kosha, that is pranamaya kosha, the air we breathe and the energy we have in the body, that is the pranamaya kosha, that is that energy level. Then there is another thing called the sensory level. Then there is another thing is called understanding level. So these are different levels which we see. And all these levels, they become drushya. The actual self is something which is beyond that. The actual self is, all these things, they become drushyas to the actual self. So when you discard all these things, then what remains is Shuddha Chaitanya. So this Tattvavit, he is in that type of understanding. Anything wrong with that? Huh? So, okay, Tattvavit is somebody who is having a proper understanding. Then proper understanding of the self. Tattvavittu mahabaho. Tattvavit of what? Guna karma vibhagayoho. He knows about what are these gunas and he knows about what are these karmas. Guna vibhagaha, karma vibhagaha. He knows what are all these gunas and what are the manifestations, in what different ways these gunas are manifesting, and in what different ways the karmas are again emanating from these gunas. Gunas are manifesting first, and then from these gunas are causing, they are producing some karmas. So this karma vibhaga, this guna vibhaga and karma vibhaga. Vibhaga means division. All this division of gunas and karmas. So this Tattvavit knows. So he knows what? What does he know? He knows that these things are all manifestations in that Maya only. These are all things which are there in the Maya only, and this is not my real nature. So that is what he thinks. And then guna guneshu vartante iti matva nasajjate. Guna guneshu vartante means guna, these indriyas and all these things. Guneshu means in objects. The sense The sense is my own guna. Guneshu vartante means these things are getting engaged in these sense objects. Sense objects are the vishayas. Gunaha guneshu vartante means these indriyas which are nothing but gunas. They are getting engaged with these sense objects which are again nothing but gunas. So what all we see is a product of these gunas only, which means that sense, the seer, the so-called seer or perceiver, as we see, as we normally understand, is the human being, the human mind. So this mind itself is a product of these gunas. Then again the external object again is a product of the gunas. So which means this guna is getting engaged with that guna. So that is what is told here. Gunaha guneshu vartante. They are getting engaged, they are getting attached, they are following those sense objects, which is quite natural. This same property is there outside also, and then the same tendency is seeking something which gratifies it or which is friendly to that. So like that, gunaha guneshu vartante iti matva, with that understanding, having realized that, na sajjate means he does not get attached to that. He himself does not get attached, because he is in the level of a sakshi. He is looking at all these things as a witness. He is keeping himself above all these things, and then he is looking at these things. So one doubt may arise. Okay, I indulge in all things. I indulge in all sensual pleasures, good, bad, and all these things. And then I say, yes, I have nothing to do. I am a sakshi. Guna guneshu vartante. So it's not like that. We should not take it in that manner. Guna guneshu vartante. We are now talking in the seeing the context of a jnani. A jnani is one who has already gone through a special ritual, a special stage of self-discipline. And that self-discipline has given him a proper understanding. It is not a mere understanding at an intellectual level without a self-discipline. So understanding at an intellectual level without self-discipline can be dangerous also. In fact, that is what is there is a modern philosophical school of philosophy called existentialism. So in that existentialism, there are some writers who who have produced some characters which are examples of this type of disillusionment. Somebody who is totally disillusioned, totally a godless world, so they are totally disoriented, and then he feels that he is beyond good and evil. There is no such thing as good and evil, and then he indulges in all these good and in all things. So that is a different extreme. So he can be a sort of a highly dangerous person to society. But we are not talking about that extreme where a person who is a sort of a dangerous character, an existential monster as they call it. So we are not talking about such a character. We are talking about a jnani. We are talking about a person who has come through this process of discipline, who has understood it, who follows the dharma, who follows all the social norms. Jnani, he never crosses the social norms. He may do things in a more, all karmas in a more enthusiastic way, but then he does not do any other prohibited actions. So we are talking about such a jnani. It is not as though the jnani can pass the buck to gunas and then say, no, it is not my duty. My body is engaging in this. What can I do? This is my guna. He cannot say like that. So tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartante plus iti becomes vartanta iti. That is a sandhi. How it mixes is that sandhi. Iti matva na sajjate. The words I think I explained. The words are simple. Tattvavit plus tu. Tattvavittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayoho means guna vibhaga plus karma vibhaga. Tayoho of those two. Gunaha guneshu vartante. Gunaha, these senses, 5 senses which are again nothing but gunas. Guneshu, in the sense objects, vartante, they get engaged. Iti matva, having understood like that, na sajjate, he keeps aloof and then he doesn't get attached. Na sajjate means he himself does not get hooked to them. Na sajjate. Let us read the bhashyam. Tattvavittu महाबाहो कस्य तत्त्ववित् गुणकर्म विभागयोः गुणविभागस्य कर्मविभागस्य च तत्त्ववित् इत्यर्थः. Okay, So he says, Tattvavittu Mahabaho. Hey Mahabaho, Kasya Tattvavit. Tattva of what? What is the nature of this Tattva? Tattvavit. What does he know? Tattvavit means one who knows the Tattvam, one who knows the reality. What reality? He is asking. Kasya Tattvavit. Reality of what? Reality of Guna Karma Vibhagayoho. Reality of Guna Vibhaga and Karma Vibhaga. And this Guna Vibhaga and Guna Karma Vibhaga, this Nilakantha is writing one sentence. Naham Gunatmakaha iti Gunebhyaha Atmano Vibhagaha. Naham Karmatmakaha iti Karmabhyaha Atmano Vibhagaha. Which means, so the Jnani realizes that this I who am the Atman, I who am of the nature of bliss and say pure consciousness, I am not Gunatmakaha. My essential nature is not Guna. Gunatmaka means essential nature being Guna. Naham Gunatmaka means my essential nature is not Guna. And then my essential nature is not Karmatmaka. My essential nature is not Gunatmaka and my essential nature is not of the nature of Karma. So that is what is Guna Vibhaga and Karma Vibhaga. Guna Karma Vibhagayoho. Guna Karma Vibhagayoho. Guna Vibhagasya Karma Vibhagasya cha. Guna Vibhaga means this division of Gunas and then this division of Karmas. You understood this thing? Guna Vibhaga is realizing that I am not, my real nature is not that Gunatmaka. And then regarding actions, my real nature is not that regarding karma, those karmas, karmatmaka. So that sort of understanding. Then karma vibhagasya cha tattvavit. So he knows the reality of this guna vibhaga and karma vibhaga. Then next line, gunaha karanatmakaha guneshu vishayatmakeshu vartante na atma iti matva na sajjate saktim na karoti. So he is also explaining in the same manner. Gunaha, he says karanatmakaha. Karanatmakaha means karana. I said, what is karana? Karana is the five senses and also the mind. So gunaha karanatmakaha means the gunas which have got transformed into this mind and senses. These three gunas which are there in the Prakriti, they have got transformed into the mind and senses. Gunaha karanatmakaha. So that is the meaning of that. Karanatmakaha means karanatmana parinataha. So they are transformed into this mind and say senses. So this is again it gives an understanding of what exactly the senses are. In fact, I don't think philosophy anywhere there is a question about what exactly is a sense. So there is an answer to this. The senses are nothing but the manifestations of those gunas which are there in the Prakriti. And then these gunas, these senses correspond to certain things which are there in the outside world. The five elements as we see, these five elements are responsible for these five senses. And with these five senses, we are only able to perceive those five elements only and nothing else. Each sense perceives one element and not the other element. With my eye, I cannot say I have the sense of touch, and with my skin, I cannot have the sense of sight. So like that. So with each sense, I am able to see one thing only. And likewise, in the the Vishayas, the sense objects which we see, all those sense objects again, they relate to these five senses only. So gunaha karanatmakaha means these gunas, these three gunas which have got transformed into these senses. Guneshu vishayatmakeshu. Again this vishayam, the sense object is nothing but guna. So everything we see is only an interplay of these three gunas. So that is the meaning here. Vishayatmakeshu vartante na atma. Atma is something which is insulated. Insulated means which is something different from this. Atma is not actually getting engaged in this. It is the gunas which are getting engaged in these sense objects. Iti matva, having understood that, na sajjate saktim na karoti. Sakti means asakti, interest. That is longing for that. So he does not get any sort of longing for that. He doesn't get attracted to that. He is not attached to that. So that is the meaning. Is this shloka clear? Guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sajjate. So next we will go to the next shloka. Ye punaha prakrutehe iti. We'll read this shloka. प्रकृतेर्गुणसम्मूढाः सज्जन्ते गुणकर्मसु तान् अकृत्स्नविदो मन्दान् कृत्स्नविन्न विचालयेत्. The same thing which we saw in Na Buddhi Bhedam Janayed Ajnanam Karmasanginam Joshayet Karma Sarva Karmani. We saw in that shloka, 26th shloka, where say he talked about a jnani who is not supposed to disorient a person who is engaged in karma. So that is what we saw there. Something similar is being told here in the context of Prakriti. So in the context of Prakriti, we saw this jnani. He knows that it is the gunas which are getting engaged with gunas in a different shape. Gunas in one shape are getting engaged in gunas in some other shape. So this same thing is being told in the next shloka. Prakrutehe guna sammudhaha. That is, prakrutehe guna sammudhaha means the people who are disillusioned or who are under the spell of sammudha, moha means delusion. Somebody who is in a spell of something else. So those who are under the spell of these three gunas of the Prakriti, Prakrutehe means of the Prakriti, guna sammudhaha. That is those who are under the spell of the three gunas belonging to this Prakriti. So that is the meaning. Guna karmasu sajjante. Guna karmasu means those activities which are again related to the gunas only. Those activities, karmas, which are again manifestation of these gunas only. This, the people who are deluded, they are again deluded by the same gunas. The karmas, they are again nothing but the derivatives of these gunas only. Karmas are also derived from these three gunas only, actions associated with these three gunas. So those people, those deluded people, they sajjante. Sajjante means they get hooked, they get attracted, they get engaged with those things. Tan akrutsna vidaha. Tan akrutsna vido has to be split as tan akrutsna vidaha mandan krutsnavit na vichalayet. So that is how it has to be split. Tan. Tan means those people. Who are those people? 4 minutes. Okay. Tan. Who are those people? Akrutsna vidaha. Krutsnam means complete. Krutsnavit means one who knows completely. Na plus krutsnavit is akrutsnavit. Krutsnam, I said, Krutsnam means complete. Krutsnavit, like Atmavit is one who knows Atman. Krutsnavit is one who knows the complete, one who knows the whole, one who has complete knowledge. Krutsnavit. Na plus Krutsnavit, that is not a Krutsnavit, that is Akrutsnavit. Na plus Krutsnavit becomes Akrutsnavit. Tan, those foolish people, those ignorant people who are under the spell of these gunas, Mandan, that is why it is called Mandaha. Mandaha means all dull people, dull-witted people. Mandaha means dull-witted people. Krutsnavit na vichalayet. This Krutsnavit, the person who knows all, that is who knows the tattva. Who knows all means who knows the real nature of all these things. Na vichalayet. Chalanam. Chalanam, I said, shaking. He should not disturb them, he should not disorient them, he should not put them in a sort of dilemma. So let them do. Let them do. Krutsnavit na vichalayet. So that is what is like what this 26th shloka said. That is what this again shloka says. The words I think they are simple. Prakrutehe, that is Shashti Ekavachanam, of the Prakriti, Guna Sammudhaha, Gunaihi Sammudhaha. That is those who are under the spell of these three gunas which belong to the Prakriti. Sajjante guna karmasu. Guna karmasu means in actions. Karmasu is Saptami Vibhakti. In the actions relating to the gunas. Then Tan, those people, Akrutsna vidaha, Mandan, Krutsnavit na vichalayat. Let us see the bhashyam. Ye punaha prakrutehe gunaihi samyak mudhaha sammohitas santaha sajjante gunanam karmasu gunakarmasu vayam karma kurmaha phalaya iti tan karma sanginaha akrutsnavit akrutsna vidaha karma phalamatra darshinaha mandan manda prajnan krutsnavit
कृत्स्नवित्
आत्मवित्
आत्मवित्
स्वयं न विचालयेत्
स्वयं न विचालयेत्
बुद्धिभेदकरणमेव चालनं
बुद्धिभेदकरणमेव चालनं
तत् न कुर्यात्
तत् न कुर्यात्
इत्यर्थः.
इत्यर्थः.
So this is in one long line again, the same bhashya is completed. Prakrutehe gunaihi, that is by the gunas which belong to the Prakriti. I explained this word. Prakrutehe gunaihi, by the gunas which belong to the Prakriti. Sammodhaha, some plus modhaha, sammodhaha. Some is samyak, that is totally, completely modhaha. They are totally under the spell of these three gunas. That is what is called sammodhaha. A modha is a normal level. Sammodha means he is still deeper. He is still deep down, deep in those, deeply merged in those things. Deeply immersed, so let us say. Sammohitas santaha. So totally sammohitaha. So they are all totally under the spell of those things. Sajjante. Sajjante means they get engaged in. Gunanam karmasu guna karmasu. Guna karmasu means the karmas which belong to these gunas. It is very clear. I think I explained that all these gunas again are manifested. The karma, all that is what all activity we see is only a manifestation of the gunas. So in all these gunas, they get engaged. Sajjante guna karmasu. How do they get engaged? Vayam karma kurmaha phalaya iti. Yes, well, let us do. We are doing this karma. Phalaya, for the benefit. For so and so benefit, I am doing this so and so karma. Vayam means we. Vayam means we. We are doing. Karma kurmaha means we are doing this action. We are doing this thing. We are doing this ritual, or we are doing some. It can be two types of actions. That's what they said. Laukika and also Shastriya. It can be a Laukika karma or Shastriya karma. We are doing this for what? Phalaya, for the sake of benefit. For I am going to achieve this. We are going to achieve this. Then, those people, such people, what type of people are they? Karma sanginaha. They are all those who are totally attached to this karma. Then akrutsna vidaha. Those who are people of half knowledge. This word does not mean totally ignorant. Akrutsna vidaha. They know a little. That means they are not at least engaged in papa karma. They are not at least engaged in this nishiddha karma, that is a prohibited action. All these prohibited actions they are not doing, but then they are doing something which is sanctioned or which is permitted by the Veda. So that is why the Shastra is calling them akrutsna vidaha. They are half knowledge, people with half knowledge. Those people, karma phala matra darshinaha. They are only seeing, they are just having that karma phala in mind. Nothing else in mind, they are only having that, what you call, performance targets, let us say. Karma phala darshinaha. They are only seeing. Darshi means one who sees. Karma phala darshinaha means, darshinaha is those who see. Karma phala darshinaha means those who have that target only in mind. Target oriented, they have got deadlines. They only function on deadlines and nothing else. They only, in order to use the modern terms, we can say that they are only bothered about deadlines. They are not bothered about the reality. They are not bothered to. They do not know how to evaluate their work. They don't really evaluate what exactly they are doing. But then they are bothered about their targets only. Karma phala matra darshinaha mandan. So manda prajnan. Those dull-witted people who are really ensnared by all these things. Those who are enamored and ensnared, and those who are under the spell of all these. Goals, all these goals. So those people, manda prajnan, those dull people. Then krutsnavit, atmavit. Krutsnavit is this man who knows that his atma has nothing to do with all this. So this gentleman, he, atmavit, swayam na vichalayet. So he will not shake them, he will not disorient them, let them do. At least they are doing something. They are contributing to some social order, and then at least they are not causing any disharmony. Maybe gradually they will attain their some chitta shuddhi. So this gentleman, he is not supposed to shake them. Na vichalayet buddhi bheda karanameva chalanam. So he is again, Shankaracharya also is referring to that earlier line, na buddhi bhedam janayet. Buddhi bheda karanameva chalanam. That is, shaking them or disturbing them is only that buddhi bheda chalanam, causing some dilemma or putting them in a sort of dilemma. So that is what is called chalanam. Tat na kuriyat. The jnani, he is not supposed to disturb them. So that is the thing. I think this bhashya is over. We'll see the next shloka in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.